divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. English children still chanted in classrooms. 6 real women, 1 king. He broke an entire church to trade one wife for another. He sent 2 of them to the executioner's block. 1 died, giving him what he wanted most. 1 outsmarted him and lived better than all the rest. And the last one nursed a rotting tyrant and walked away alive. Behind the nursery, rhyme hides a pattern. This is the fate of every woman who married Henry VIII. Rewind to 1509. Forget the monster. Meet the golden boy. Henry is 17 when the crown touches his head. 6'2", athletic, copper-haired, startlingly handsome. Ambassadors write home that he is the handsomest prince in Europe. He wrestles. He justs. He hunts from dawn to dark. He composes music. He debates theology. He dazzles everyone. Europe has a new golden king. Everyone adores him. But under the shine sits one gnawing fear. His family stole this throne on a battlefield 1 generation ago. Without a son, the Tudors could vanish as fast as they came. Remember that fear. It will kill queens. Wife number 1 is waiting in the wings already. Catherine of Aragon, a Spanish princess, daughter of 2 crusading monarchs. Here is the twist. She was married to Henry's brother first. Prince Arthur, the heir, he died 5 months after the wedding. The widow was 17, stranded in a foreign country. So the family recycled her. She would marry the spare. Church law forbade marrying a brother's widow. Rome made an exception. File that detail. It comes back with teeth. And for years, this marriage genuinely works. She rules England while he plays soldier in France. Her armies even crush a Scottish invasion while he is away. 24 years of marriage, his longest by far. But the nursery keeps filling with small coffins. 6 pregnancies, 1 surviving child, a daughter, Mary. 1 baby boy lived 52 days. They had already held tournaments. To Henry, every small grave reads as a verdict from God. He rereads the old scripture about marrying a brother's wife. They shall be childless, it warns. He decides the marriage is cursed. Convenient timing, because his eye has already wandered. Her name is in Boleyn. Remember the necklace. Educated in France, quick-witted, magnetic in a way beauty is not. The king is used to taking mistresses, and refuses. Your mistress I will not be, she tells him. Queen or nothing. Nobody says no to Henry. It drives him wild. He chases her for 7 years. 17 of his love letters to, and survive to this day. The man who hates writing fills page after page for her. But and holds her ground, and the king needs a legal exit. So he asks the Pope to cancel his marriage to Catherine. Small problem. The Pope is practically a prisoner of Catherine's nephew. The most powerful ruler in Europe, and family loyalty runs deep. Homestad, for years. Catherine is dragged before a court to defend her marriage. She kneels before Henry and asks how she has offended him. 20 years of faithful wife, she says, and she walks out. She never acknowledges that court again. Magnificent and doomed. Because Henry stops asking permission. If Rome will not free him, he will fire Rome. He declares himself head of the church in England. 15 centuries of religious order snapped for a wedding. Monasteries will burn. Men will hang. England changes forever. All of it so one man could remarry. Catherine is banished to a damp castle, stripped of her title. She is forbidden to see her own daughter, ever again. She dies there in 1536, still calling herself the true queen. At court, it is said Henry and wore yellow that week. Divorced. That is verse 1 of the rhyme. And Boleyn is queen at last. The clock is already ticking. She promised Henry a son. In 1533, she delivers a child. A girl, Elizabeth. He does not attend the christening. That baby girl will one day rule England for 44 years. But Henry cannot see the future, only the missing son. 2 miscarriages follow. The court starts whispering. January 1536. Henry crashes headfirst at a jousting tournament. He lies unconscious for 2 hours. The court prepares for his death. He wakes, but many say he is never the same man again. Days later, and miscarries a baby boy. She has, people mutter, miscarried her savior. Henry's love, 7 years in the building, curdles in weeks. And his ministers smell blood in the water. In 3 weeks, they build a case that beggars belief. Adultery with 5 men, including, they claim, her own brother. Most historians today call the charges invented. It does not matter. The verdict is written before the trial. Queen, and is condemned to die. Henry grants her one mercy, an expert swordsman from France. He was ordered before the trial even began. May 19, 1536, and climbs the scaffold, calm and composed. She prays for the king, perhaps to protect her daughter. One swing of a French sword ends 1,000 days as queen. Beheaded. Verse 2. The next morning, Henry is engaged to wife number 3. Jane Seymour is everything and was not. Quiet, obedient, careful. She has watched 2 queens fall. Her personal motto, bound to obey and serve. 11 days after the sword fell, Henry marries her. The court barely has time to change the banners. In 1537, Jane gives Henry the one thing he burned a church for. A son, Edward, a living, breathing male heir. Bells ring across London for 2 days straight. 12 days later, Jane is dead. Childbed fever, the price of the prince. Henry, for once, seems genuinely broken. He wears black for months. He will call Jane his only true wife. She is the only wife who will ever share his grave. Died. Verse 3. Cynics note she died before he could tire of her. Grief passes. The succession does not. One son is not enough. So his ministers open a catalog of European princesses. This time it is not about love. It is about alliances. England is isolated. Catholic Europe is circling. His chief minister proposes a German match. Anne of Cleves. Henry will not buy unseen. He sends his best painter, Hans Holbein, so gifted his portraits feel alive. He paints Anne of Cleves kind-eyed and serene. Henry looks at the portrait and falls in love with the painting. The contract is signed sight unseen, and travels weeks through winter to meet her new husband. And here Henry makes a legendary fool of himself. He loves courtly games, so he decides to surprise her, in disguise. The theory, true love will see through any mask. He bursts in on a tired stranger and tries to kiss her. And, who has never seen him, shoves the fat stranger away. She goes straight back to watching the entertainment out the window. The room freezes. The king has been publicly ignored. His pride never recovers. Hers is the bill. I like her not. He growls at his ministers. Too late. Refusing now means war with her German allies. So he marries her and sulks through the wedding. The marriage exists on paper only. 6 months. Nothing more. Then Henry asks for an annulment, and everyone hold their breath. 2 queens resisted this king. One died banished, one beheaded. Anne of Cleves reads the papers and says yes. Smartest yes in Tudor history. A grateful Henry showers her with castles and income. She becomes the king's beloved sister, first lady after the queen. She keeps her head, her freedom, and in Boleyn's childhood castle. She will outlive Henry and every single one of his wives. Divorced. Verse 4. But this one walked away smiling. The minister who arranged the match is not so lucky. Henry has him beheaded on a trumped-up charge within months. Working for Henry has become as deadly as marrying him. Wife 5 is a teenager. Catherine Howard, around 17, cousin of Anne Boleyn. Henry is 49, limping and vast. An ulcer from his old jousting wound eats at his leg. Courtiers say you can smell the wound 3 rooms away. Marrying a girl a third his age makes him feel young again. He calls her his rose without a thorn. He parades her, showers her with dead queen's jewels. But Catherine grew up neglected in a crowded noble household. There were men there. There are letters. There are witnesses. At a court full of enemies, a past is a loaded weapon. Worse, as queen, she keeps meeting a young courtier in secret. Thomas Culpeper, the king's own favorite attendant. With a king who beheaded her own cousin, the recklessness is dizzying. November 1541. Someone finally talks. Henry finds the accusation waiting for him at prayer. He weeps in front of his council. Then he rages. He calls for a sword to kill her himself. Legend says Catherine broke free and ran screaming to find him. Whether it happened or not, visitors swear that gallery is haunted. Her young courtier dies a traitor's death. And in February 1542 is Catherine's turn. She's about 18 years old. The night before, she makes one strange request. Bring me the block. She practices laying her head all night. A teenager, rehearsing her own execution for poise. In the morning, she needs help climbing the scaffold, but she dies composed. She is buried near her cousin Anne. 2 queens, 1 chapel floor. Beheaded. Verse 5. Who on earth would marry him now? Enter the survivor. Catherine Parr, 31, twice widowed. Nobody's fool. She is in love with someone else when the king proposes. But a king's proposal is not a question. She says yes to the man who buried 4 wives. And then she does something none of the others managed. She manages him. She nurses the rotting leg no one dares mention. She gathers his 3 motherless children into one family. She publishes books under her own name, a first for an English queen. But being clever near Henry is its own death sentence. She debates religion with him, once too sharply. His hardliners pounce. They draw up a warrant for her arrest. The story goes that the warrant is dropped in a corridor. A servant brings it straight to Catherine. She has one night to save her own head. Her move is brilliant. She goes to Henry and surrenders completely. A mere woman, she says, arguing only to distract him from his pain. Flattered, he forgives everything on the spot. Next day, the arrest party arrives, on schedule, weapons ready. Henry screams them out of the garden. The queen watches the men sent to arrest her flee, and says nothing. Step back and look at what the Golden Prince became. His armor tells the story in cold steel. A 32-inch waist at 25, 52 inches at death. The jousting leg never heals. It weeps through his stockings. Servants winch him onto his horse with ropes and pulleys. Chairs carry him through palaces he once sprinted through. The body rots. The paranoia blooms. Old friends go to the block on a suspicion. He executes the brilliant minister who built his church. He executes an old countess who barely gets a trial. Marrying him is deadly. Serving him is deadly. Existing near him is deadly. January 1547. The machine finally stops. For days, nobody dares tell him he is dying. Predicting the king's death is, technically, treason. He dies at 55 and is buried beside Jane, the wife who died giving him his son. His son rules 9 years and dies a teenager. The dynasty he killed queens for dies with his children. And the child who did rule for decades. And Boleyn's daughter, Elizabeth, the girl he refused to celebrate. History has a savage sense of humor. And Catherine Parr, she finally marries her true love. Survived. Verse 6. The rhyme is complete. So say the rhyme again. Slower this time. Divorced. A queen who ruled a country, dumped for praying in Spanish. Beheaded. A woman executed on evidence invented in 3 weeks. Died. A girl who gave him everything, including her life. Divorced, the stranger who said yes and won the whole game. Beheaded, a teenager who practiced dying so she would not stumble. Survived, the scholar who nursed the monster and outplayed his court. 6 women flattened into 6 words. The rhyme survives because the fear was real. Every marriage in England answered to one man's appetite. But listen to the last word of the rhyme once more. Survived. In the end, the rhyme belongs to them, not to him.